Aeroworks knows how important setup is to getting a plane that flies right. To help us get that right, they include a degree gauge for the rudder and a deflection meter for the elevators and ailerons. And both are easy to use and very accurate. To use the degree gauge, you just slip it between the rudder and the vertical stabilizer, tape down the little tabs, and that aligns it up and it's ready for use. This makes it really easy to set up your rudder and know that you got the same deflection both ways. The deflection gauge is built on something that looks like a clothespin, so you just clip it in place. You want to make sure that you put this gauge in the same place on both of the control surfaces being checked. And this is where I underestimated how far the gauge would move when I set the elevators to about 48 degrees up and down. But this way you do get to see the weight, and when it goes fully down you get to see the needle. Let's just make believe that's how I wanted to show you all this anyway. And right at the end there you can see me dial in a little bit of correction with the programmer. I just like starting out with the same throw up and down. Now with the plane all set up and ready to go, and the last thing I'm going to do is apply the graphics before we take it out to maiden it. This graphics package also came from Aeroworks and is designed specifically for the Orange Edge 540. These graphics are made using a high-end printing process that lets them simulate carbon fiber fabric. And here we are about an hour later, and my Edge 540 is looking a whole lot better. These graphics really dress up the look of this airplane. Here you can see that simulated carbon fiber a lot better. The high-tech stickers on the ailerons are from a different graphics package. At first I'm most concerned with how an airplane flies, but I also like it to look as good as it flies. All that's left now is to break the plane down, charge it up good, and put it in a trailer. Then it's out to the field for the maiden flights. I've owned and flown a bunch of Aeroworks planes, and I've come to expect uneventful maiden flights. But there always is that little bit of anticipation when a plane first lifts off the ground. The only surprise with the Edge 540 was how quickly it left the ground, and after that it needed just a couple of clicks of trim and it was flying straight and level. I rolled it inverted and put it on about a 45-degree upline, and it pretty much held its own. The nose wanted to drop just a little bit, but not bad at all. And this is my first elevator with the Edge, and its wings are pretty stable. I know there's some guys that can keep any set of wings level, but I need help, and the Edge is doing everything it can to help me along. There was a little wind up there trying to mess up this inverted flat spin, but the Edge does real well. It's nice and stable. But when you want to make it unstable, it does that real well too. I don't know what made me think of going from a knife edge to an inverted flat spin, but the Edge did it like it knew it was coming. My maiden flights always include some touch and goes, or at least approaches, to see how the plane likes that. And here's where I was finding out that a couple of clicks of down trim helped a bunch when there's some wind facing the plane. I also found out that at the lower speeds for landing, the Edge remains very responsive. It takes just a touch of rudder to correct any weather vane you may be having on landings. This is early spring and the field's still a little bit lumpy, but the Edge handles it just fine. And to see how comfortable I'm getting with this plane, this is takeoff number 2. I like being this confident in a brand new airplane. This is a combination of me blowing the landing approach and then wanting to see how this thing handles at low speeds close to the ground. And it just walks right along. The first half of the runway when you're landing from this direction is running uphill, so it kind of comes up to meet the plane. But it was easy to manage with the Edge. I believe this is flight 4, and you can see that I'm really getting comfortable with the Edge now. And I'm starting to get better with knife edge flight with the Edge, but I'm still using too much rudder. It's becoming very obvious that the Edge will do way more than I know how to tell it to right now. I've always liked how the Edge 540 looked in the air, and Aeroworks has got this right. This is the 4th or 5th flight, and I was getting pretty brave, and then I surprised myself. I'm not real good with hovers, even with planes I've got a lot of experience with. But the Edge surprised me. I think it falls out of this because I couldn't believe I was actually doing it. I got so excited I decided to celebrate by messing up another knife edge figure 8. Once I get the feeling of how much rudder the Edge actually needs to do something like this, I think it's going to be a lot better looking. And here near the end of the day, I got so confident I was doing high alpha stuff that I don't know how to do. The Aeroworks Edge 540 not only lets me do a high alpha, it lets me drive it around like that too without falling out. I hope some of my other planes don't see this. If you're looking for a 50cc size airplane with a ton of capabilities, you need to look at the Aeroworks Edge 540. I'm not sure why, but my Edge keeps letting me do things that I can't do. And then sometimes when I bring it back to Earth, it'll do this a little bit, just to let me know that I need to practice a little more. But practice isn't going to be a problem because I really like flying this airplane and it's going to see a lot of flight time.